And welcome to another Interstellar Modeler. This is now part 3 and completion of my Bandai BB8 build. So as you can imagine, there aren't going to be a lot of pieces for his head here. We do have to mount some LEDs, so let's talk about how we're going to do that. First of all, let me talk about his eye. And the model does come with one LED, and that's this here. There's a compartment here for some small batteries, and as you can see, there's a switch that slides back and forth this way. And basically, you're supposed to be able to mount this here into this black piece, so there is an opening here for mounting the LED. And by turning this here, you'll be able to turn on and off the LED. Okay, we're not going to utilize this. We're going to utilize our own red 3mm LED, and this will be hooked into our main switch. So the only thing we needed to do, since this already has a hole for an LED, we'll take advantage of that. Just had to drill a hole here to accommodate our wire so we can feed that through. Alright, so we'll get to that shortly. However, the first one I'm going to start off with is this blue LED that has to mount here, and I'm going to use an SMD for that. Okay, so this is now the blue part that goes into the area here. And we're going to mount our SMD from the back side, obviously. And it has to come from the top down. So I mounted it to a clear piece of styrene, you can see here, and we're just going to glue it into place. Alright, next one to do is this one here. And first step is to go ahead and slide these pieces in place. Alright, so for this one here, we're going to have to mount a blue LED, and so I just bent it a little bit here so that we can get it to rest right up against this section here, and I'm going to add some hot glue right there. Alright, before proceeding on with this one, I went ahead and took another look at some pictures of the studio model, and I noticed that the lens inside here was at least looked like a white piece of opaque plastic. So I removed this, painted it with a flat white, and reinstalled it. Now I'm ready to go ahead and put the LED in place. Alright, so the dome's pretty much put together. I still have a few other pieces to slide in here, but nonetheless the lighting is all set. I did add an LED right here. It's just resting right in there. And everything else is all hooked up here. So moving along, we're going to go ahead and put the rest of this together and finally get everything connected. You can see the dome is constructed here. I'm going to leave off the covers to these here just to avoid the possibility of scratching them. We still have to attach the antenna as well. This is the bottom section now, and this is where we're going to attach our battery. And what I'm going to do is just make a small enclosure for the battery, just so it doesn't move around as much. And the plan is to leave this unglued, which again, I stress you don't really need glue for this model, but we're able to detach this as we need to gain access to the battery. Alright, so let me go ahead and construct that, and then we're going to move on to the arm after all this is done. Okay, and you can see it doesn't interfere with the dome sliding onto our bottom piece there. So you can see the bottom plate just slides onto the main body here, not applying any glue there. That way the head will be somewhat movable. You can rotate it a little bit from side to side. I was looking at Carson Ward's BB8 here, and you can see he has a smaller eye aligned here with this section. That's what I'm going to do as well. The arm will be able to be attached and detached as we want, since it's not going to be lit up, so it'll attach here. And other thing I want to make note of is make sure that you leave enough wire, because when you do remove the dome, you don't want things too tight here. You'll have a bit of a problem taking the battery out. So there's plenty of wire there. It easily tucks into the dome. I already test fitted it, so there's no problem. So as soon as the soldering iron is heated up, we'll go ahead and connect all the wires here permanently, and we have a few more things to finish up, but we're getting close to completion. Alright, what's left now is just to finish up these final pieces. These are now the accessory arms that come with the kit. We've got 3. I've already put them together here now. We've got the flame, we've got the bolt of electricity that he shoots out, and then this one looks like it's a cutting arm of some sort. There's this one other piece that's left over here. This actually is supposed to go into the tray where we mounted our switch, but because it interferes with the switch, we have to leave it out. Alright, so I'm just adding some finishing touches here, and I am ready to show you the completed kit. So I'll show you BB8 in just a second. Okay everybody, I'm very excited to show you this one. This is now the completed Bandai model of the BB8 droid from Star Wars Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. This is a 1/2 scale representation of the droid. It measures about 14 inches from the bottom all the way to the top of his antenna there, and the main body or ball is about 9 inches in diameter. And as with any of the Bandai kits that I've built here so far, I think it's pretty screen accurate. The model comes pre-molded in these colors here. I didn't paint anything this time around. Most of the work was really spent on detailing and weathering, as you saw if you followed the build. And just to summarize again, the weathering here was accomplished first by applying a wash that was made with just some craft paint from Michaels. It was a brown color, and just a basic brown, and then I applied just a few drops of the color called Burnt Umber from Vallejo, and that was followed with a drop of black. And that mixture was applied onto the surface with a paper towel, allowed to dry, and some of it was rubbed away with a wet paper towel afterwards. The weathering along the panel lines was accomplished first using a solution by MiG Ammo. That was the Modern Warfare Vehicles solution. And then that was followed with an application of pigment from a Tamiya weathering kit using the brown pigment. Lighter weathering was applied to the head, mainly because that part does not obviously make contact with the ground, so you have more of the weathering done on the main body. But basically the same techniques were followed here as well. After the wash and the weathering was completed, I then applied a semi-gloss from Krylon, and this gives the surface just a light sheen here, not too shiny or glossy. Regarding the panel lines, again I used the Tamiya panel line accent color to enhance them. I often like to try different methods, and this is one I saw in another video. I thought the solution worked great, but the only stuff suggested to remove any excess was lighter fluid, which you have to be careful using and discarding the used rags, of course. So before using this stuff, you might want to do some research and find out if there's any other solution that may remove any excess. Someone else suggested using white spirit cleaner, which I'm not familiar with, but you might want to look into. I also don't want to imply that this is the only way to darken panel lines. Of course, there are a lot of different methods out there. Others who have built this model have successfully used techniques ranging from an oil wash to shoe polish, and they turned out quite nice. Alright, well as you know I did light the model, so let me go ahead and turn on the switch for the lights here. The switch is accessed in this panel, so let me go ahead and open that up for you. And you can see that the tray just pulls out here with that track mechanism that's underneath the tray. And this gives us access to that push switch that I installed here. So let me go ahead and turn it on. Most of the lights were SMDs that were used here, and they are quite adequate for lighting all of the different areas. You'll have to go back to the video to see which ones are 3mm, mainly the ones that you see here, the 3 on the head, and there's another one that I used in the body there. But most of these were the SMD lights. Let me go ahead and turn this around here. And you can see all the lights come on nice and bright. The one thing that I would say here, and certainly an argument for painting at least the orange panels, is this right here. So the SMD mounts inside this piece. Unfortunately, there's really not a lot of area here to light block. I think the best way to light block that would be to paint the orange panel, possibly painting them black first and then applying the orange color. So that's what I would do if I were to do this model again, is I would at least paint those orange panels to prevent some of this glow here through the plastic. For the most part though, we don't have too much light leakage going on here. The SMDs again are bright enough to give us the illumination that we need. You can certainly use 3mm LEDs certainly for all of these areas, but I think the SMDs prove to be very helpful because they're so small and they fit into the tight spaces. Well, one thing I wanted to point out here that I forgot to mention while putting this together here about his main eye. There's a little detailing here on the black piece where the LED slides into, and I actually decided to dry brush that with some silver paint, and I'm glad that I did because these little components are visible if you turn the model a certain way. It's going to be hard to capture it on the video here, but I remember seeing some actual pictures of BB-8 online and a close-up of his eye, and you can actually see these little electronic components in there, and that's what that piece is modeled after. So I recommend dry brushing them as well with a silver paint because the red light does tend to pick it up as you turn the model back and forth there. And just giving you a look at the LEDs here along the bottom of the model. And the blue ones here were lit with a 3mm LED as well. The model comes complete with this stand, which comes to you clear. I just painted it from the inside using a gunmetal color from Tamiya, and the model also comes complete with this sticker here of the Star Wars logo. Alright, I just want to take a second just to show you the bottom of the kit, and as you can see there's a little knob here on this panel. It resembles the one that you see at the top for the neck. The knob is there to provide some stability as you mount your model onto the stand. You can see there's this little groove here, and it allows you to tip the model from side to side, but it gives you just a little more assurance that the model is not just going to roll off. Bandai does provide a panel without the knob, so it's your choice to install with or without. Now the other compartment that opens is this one here. Let me show you how it works. You basically just crack it open here, and then you gently pull on the bottom to bring it out towards you, and then the panel opens completely. So it is in this compartment where the arm attachments can be slid into place, and let me show you those right now. Alright, first one is this claw-like arm, and you can see it opens and closes, and this tilts as well. The other two connect by sliding the piece onto this lower portion here. And the first one that I'll show you is this lightning bolt. Now, the cool thing about this is that the plastic piece that represents the electricity seems to catch the light from this blue LED here and makes it look like it's illuminated. And I've turned off the other overhead light here so you can kind of see that. And finally, here we have the blue flame, which is everyone's favorite. This is the one that shoots out of his arm, as we saw in Force Awakens. And I've seen someone else light this up, just simply wiring an SMD to this. The arm would have to be permanently attached in order for it to connect to the rest of your power source. However, I will mention a side note here that someone had left a comment on my last video that you could potentially put some brass contacts on the end of this, and therefore have the adjoining contacts inside the BB-8 right where that hole is at, and you'll be able to plug it in there and, you know, easily power the light that way. That solution came a little too late for me. I had already pieced together the body, and as I had mentioned in one of the videos, once you get these pieces together, it's hard to pry them apart, so it would have been a lot of work to take the body apart to accomplish that. So it's okay, I'm fine with the way it is. Just as the little lightning bolt catches some of the blue LED, this one seems to do the same here. Alright guys, well there you have it. I hope you enjoyed following this build as much as I enjoyed putting it together. This kit is available online. It's not cheap, I understand, but this is something for me that was a real big surprise during the holidays, because my daughter, who currently lives in Japan, brought it with her. Her and my family decided to give it to me as a Christmas gift, so I was pleasantly surprised to get it on Christmas morning, and was eager to put it together. Really a fun kit to assemble and to work on, so I'd highly recommend it. Alright, well if you have any questions, feel free to contact me here on my YouTube channel or at initialthemodeler@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.